not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
It's time to hit the pick. Touchdown! Sports betting, fantasy football, and the latest NFL news. Featuring Loud Esmond and Christian Giordani. Bet on us to make you a better bettor. What? It's time to hit the pick.
Hit the pick. HitThePick.com. We are the official show of HitThePick.com. I am one of your prognosticators. The lead, of course, broadcaster on the show that I just jumped in on is Christian Giordani. Hey, Christian.
Yes, sir. Hello. Welcome to the very first episode of Hit the Pick. I'm joined by my co-host and lead prognosticator, Loud Esmond. Alongside of us today, we have Scott Keyport from Little Creek Casino and Scott Steen, the Steen Roller. How are you fellas doing on this Friday?
Doing good.
Good.
I would be doing great if I hadn't bet on any sports at all the past 2 days. But it's been a horrific couple of days, and just some inexplicable crap going on, especially at the end of NFL games. One of them, I think everybody universally, one of the things this morning that just kept popping up in my feed was things making fun of Eberflus, the former coach of the Chicago Bears, for how he completely mishandled the Thursday Thanksgiving Day football game. Scott, can you explain to me what he was thinking when the quarterback gets sacked, taken out of field goal range? They're still only down by 3. There's 32 seconds left. They have a timeout, and he literally stands on the sidelines and never speaks into his microphone to another coach, yells something he literally stood there, and Caleb Williams is slapping his helmet and pointing at the sidelines. And then finally, I don't know if he called the play himself or what happened. Can you explain to me, Lucy? Steve
Nope.
Roller, please.
Nope. Back to you, Loud.
Thank you.
Well, I got this pager and I give them to the NFL coaches. And when I got big bets, I need to swing. I hit the buttons and that's what you see.
Wow, it was
okay.
Inexplicable. I've never seen just an absolute brain meltdown like Eberflus standing on the sideline. I'm assuming he thought he didn't have any timeouts left. That's the only thing I can possibly posit there in that situation.
But why, if he's thinking he doesn't have any timeouts left, why is he not screaming something onto the field like, go call this play? I mean, he just stood there.
Yeah,
it was bizarre.
It was definitely a bizarre moment. I was actually traveling to my Thanksgiving destination. I didn't see it live. I only saw it later. It made no sense to me at all, and there was nothing else the Bears could do except what they did today, and that's show him a happy road home. He's lucky he got a flight out of there last night.
Christian, your thoughts on that completely horrific meltdown?
That was one of the worst coaching errors I think I've ever seen in my young life. You have to know how many timeouts you have, and like Scott said, that was one of the biggest brain farts. If you know you don't have any timeouts, you have to be down there going in a hurry up. And I know this is a big part on the coach, but Caleb Williams, you're the quarterback. You should know that you have 32 seconds left. You should not be putting your wide receiver in motion to check if you're in man coverage or in zone. You need to snap that ball and throw it downfield.
Well, that's a great point. He's also got the ability to call timeout. If and I know he doesn't want to, because he thinks the coach has a plan and everything, but at some point you have to be the leader and step in and call that timeout yourself.
Completely
Scott
agree.
Keyport, what side of that game were you mostly on, or did it not matter that much?
Actually, I forgot to look. I've been kind of thinking about today's stuff. I was home, so
well, good for you.
Yeah, I didn't look. Let me see.
Okay, so let me ask you this: has the past couple of days? This is interesting to me. Have you seen a lot of traffic in the sports book over the last couple of days, given that it's a Thanksgiving holiday, but there's so much sports to bet on?
It's definitely more, people coming in and hitting the kiosks and then I think traveling on to where they want to go. Less. Although this afternoon is where I think all of a sudden around noon, it went from nobody to a lot of people. So everybody woke up this morning, either did their shopping or shook off the turkey, and they were like, let's go watch some football.
You know, Scott, and all of us sports bettors are, we're all not fatalistic. The word that I'm looking for is, and I can't find it. When you are superstitious, we're all superstitious, right? All of us sports bettors, I think. Do you find that generally to be true?
Yeah.
Okay. Steamroller, what about you? Are you superstitious about anything with regards to sports betting?
Not a lot, but I'll tell you what. If there's a game going on that I have a play on, and I turn the game on and it starts going terribly, and it had been going well, I will turn off that game and no longer watch it. And
I do the same thing.
The inverse is true as well. If they're doing terrible, I turn it on. They start doing well, I have to watch the rest of the game.
Yeah, no, and if for me, it's if I'm watching, I'm going to lose my bet feeling. Mm-hmm. And so I have to turn it off. And so in the Kansas City Raiders game today, there was nothing going on. There was no scoring going on. And I'm like screaming at the TV, what is wrong? How the Raiders missed 2 field goals and got stopped on downs. If they had made those 2 field goals and gone for another field goal and made it, by the way, Carlson is automatic. They would have gone the over, which is what I was on. Even though they did nothing, the scoring in the first half was terrible. And that game turns into, and then if Worthy had caught that ball when Kansas City went for it, 3rd and 2, and they threw the long pass, if he catches that ball and scores, I've got the over. And I'm just like, you've got to be kidding. It was the same thing. The Lions game, I'm on the over, nobody can score. And then the middle game yesterday, the Bears, I'm on the under, it's a scoring fest. It couldn't have gone worse for me. So I'm throwing that out, but I tell you why I'm now superstitious about betting on Thanksgiving games or even the week of Thanksgiving. About a decade ago, I hit the first game on Thanksgiving, and I rolled the money into the second game, and I hit that game. And then I rolled the money into the next game, and I hit that game. And earlier in the day, I had done a parlay on all 3, and I hit all 3. Let's just say Black Friday, I did a lot of shopping the next day. My wife did too. And ever since, I've been crushed every Thanksgiving, ever since. And I'm just like, okay, so maybe I just need to stop. All right. So we're going to do what, they say as a relief pitcher or as a quarterback, you have to have a short memory, right? You throw the interception, you got to go right back out there. You give up the dinger, you got 2 outs, you still are up by a run. You got to just think about the next pitch. Got to move on. So that's what we're going to do. So let's talk about college football first. Scott, Steamroller, do you have any games? Of course, I have Scott and Scott on the show every Friday.
I do, and I wanted to issue a small correction. Loud. Carlson missed 3 field goals, not 2.
Oh, sorry.
So, yep.
So he missed 3, and they turned it over on downs in the red zone.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, good to know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was actually on the right side of that. I'm not laying 12.5 or 13 points in a division game pretty much ever. And the fact that the Chiefs had been playing like they had, I thought that was – and I have to tell you, I stayed away from the total, but I was leaning over. I was with you as well. I thought there'd be some
– and I went into – that was when I was on the Sports Rage show Tuesday night with Gabe Morency. That was my lead game. And I did a 2-page analysis of the Raiders-Chiefs game, and I said, I don't want anything to do with the total because there's every chance the Raiders come out and just play like absolute dog ass, and the Chiefs beat them huge. It's possible. And I said, look, I think the safest play is the total because the Chiefs are going to score at least 30, and the Raiders are going to score maybe 17 to 20 points. And because the last game ended 27-20 in Vegas, and Kansas City really hadn't figured their offense out as much. And this is where, as a sports bettor, you have to think about a concept that is called outcome-based thinking. And I don't want to make people think too hard, but what that concept is let's say you've got a huge winning hand in poker and you go all in and you lose on some improbable card dropping on the river and you get beat by some massive straight. That doesn't mean you weren't right. You can go into a hand and the last card is about to fall and you have a 95% chance of winning and the wrong card drops and you lose. But that doesn't mean your analysis was wrong, right, Steamroller?
Yeah, absolutely. It's called getting it in good in poker, and you do this, and you do the same thing when you beat the closing line number on a sports bet when you get good closing line value, and it in no way ensures success. Just like you said, you can have somebody hit the 2-outer on the river when you're sitting with the nut flush. It happens, but it's important. You brought up two great concepts. Number one, it's important to forget about what just happened. It has no bearing, obviously, on what's going to happen and what your handicapping should be going forward. And it is important if you got it in good, if you had the right analysis and it just didn't go your way, if the teams drove the ball up and down the field but ended up settling for 9 field goal attempts instead of points, it doesn't mean you were wrong in the over. It means game flow and tactics just didn't work out in your favor. So, yeah, I absolutely agree with what you're saying.
Okay, let's talk about some college football. Scott, Little Creek, are there any games that are getting a lot of action tomorrow in your sports book?
We're getting good action on the Ohio State-Michigan game. I think that's just, a big name.
It's a marquee game.
Yeah. And let's see. That's probably our biggest bet one. We had other than that, it's kind of spreading around. Notre Dame USC is getting a fair amount of action. I think that Purdue Indiana game is also attracting some attention.
So the top 4 games I have that I think are the ones that are getting the most attention: Ohio State, Michigan, Auburn, Alabama, Notre Dame, USC, Indiana, Purdue, Oregon, Washington. Any of those that you have picks you want to talk about, Steamroller?
I've got Ohio State laying the points. I think Ryan Day makes a statement here. He's struggled against Michigan. This team has struggled against Michigan lately. I think they've got the superior team, and they absolutely make a statement against Michigan, just like they did against Paper Tiger Indiana last week when they won by 23 and really could have won by 53. I think this is a far superior team to the Wolverines. They're just 6-5. They've had some inexplicable losses, and I just don't think they get it done here. They're coming off a big win against Northwestern. Congratulations. That must make you feel very good. I'm more concerned about this team that lost to Illinois and Indiana. So I think Ohio State, and I think they run it up. I don't think it's one of those games where it's
they will. That's why I like the points in this game too, even though it's almost 3 touchdowns. It's minus 19.5. Michigan is not very good. Ohio State used to own them. They got beat the past couple of years. In fact, I remember watching that Michigan-Ohio State game where the kid that is now on the Lions but broke his leg, unfortunately, just dominated that game. I was in a hotel suite in New York because I had done a Fox News appearance that Black Friday, and I was watching that game. And, it's just one of those moments that's seared in your mind when Michigan wins that game. Just like I can remember exactly where I was. I was in a condo in a beach town in Southern California for Thanksgiving with my family and a good friend of mine's family who unfortunately passed away about 7 years ago. And I remember exactly where I was when the pick 6 happened with Auburn and Alabama. So there are certain things that get seared into your mind in sports. I think Ohio State, like you, Scott, gets blown out. Scott Keyport, which way is it leaning? Is it leaning towards Ohio State?
Yeah, Ohio State with the points. The money line, I mean, it's sort of I think people are kind of staying away from that money line bet. It's just the odds aren't there. But yeah, we got about 70% of the handle in the ticket count sitting on Ohio State and the points. So we'll need Michigan to show up. But
Auburn, Alabama. Auburn opened plus 15. It's all the way down to plus 10.5. I'm inclined to still lean Auburn. Steamroller, your thoughts?
I think every game.
It's a tough one now.
Yeah,
if
it is.
Got it at plus 15, great. But now that the line's moved that much, it does worry me.
Well, and we've talked about this in previous shows. If you're behind a line move like that, if I could have got it at 15 on Tuesday and at 10.5 today,
it's hard to say.
There's absolutely no way I'm playing the underdog in that situation. I've already all the value is gone from me. I think this is an Alabama team that has to continue to make statements each and every week. It's the Iron Bowl, it's a rivalry game, and I know Auburn has played well at times lately, but I think Alabama gets it done and covers the number. It may even come late. It may be a tight game where Alabama just eventually wears them down and pulls away late.
This is a stay away for me because, like you said, so much a third of the value of the line has been lost.
Right,
and that's just too much. Notre Dame minus 7.5 USC. Well, you can tell who I'm rooting for, Scott Keyport. But what's the action on that game?
That is just pretty heavy Notre Dame, both point spread and money line ticket count.
Boy,
it's all flowing towards Notre Dame, and the over. We're just so they think it's going to be a little bit of a track meet, and Notre Dame's got them. At least our bettors here.
The Steamroller, it's minus 7.5 to Notre Dame. Your thoughts?
I've got it at 6.5, and that's a big move for me. You've gone through the key number of 7. I think this is a far superior Notre Dame team. USC still struggles on defense. They may be able to match Notre Dame's offensive output, but I don't think they match the Notre Dame defense. We saw that what that defense did last week against Army. And obviously USC, a little bit of a different offense than Army runs, but Notre Dame's just way too good. That number seems short to me, and I think Notre Dame absolutely rolls them up here. I look at alternative point spreads up to 10.
Notre Dame has been getting better as the season has rolled on. More dominant every week. The defense gets better. The offense gets better. So I'm with you. I think I wouldn't be scared of Notre Dame minus 12 in this game. I think they're going to beat them bad. No,
Notre Dame has only has not won a game by less than 7 points in all their victories. They beat Louisville, who was ranked 15th at the time, 31-24. Everything else they've beat their opponents by double digits. So
this game is at Notre Dame, correct?
No, it's at USC.
It's at USC.
Okay.
USC. Yeah, still, if this is now under a touchdown, I think that's the play. Indiana minus 29 at Purdue. Indiana has beaten up every poor team that they've played. Scott Steamroller, do you think that continues?
Man, that's a big number. That is a big number. It is a terrible.
But Purdue is horrible.
It's a terrible, terrible Purdue team. That's absolutely accurate. This is a stay away for me. I'm probably, and I stayed away from Purdue a lot. I keep telling myself they can't be that awful. And then every week they end up being
that
awful or even worse. So, they had their shot last week against Michigan State. They made that at least competitive, but you've got a team that has won one game this season against Indiana State and has lost everything else. So it's a stay away. I'm still not sure what we have in Indiana. I know one thing for sure. We're not going to find out a thing about them tomorrow unless they lose and we find out they are really, really overrated.
All right, Christian, NFL, Rams going up against my Saints. Thoughts on that game?
This is a team that has been struggling for both of us. The Saints have not had a good record going forward. The Rams, 2 bad beats with the Dolphins and with the Eagles. Someone's going to have to bounce back. I like that point spread with the Rams minus 2.5. I understand they're in New Orleans. It's a tough stadium to play in, but the Saints have just been a worse team than the Rams.
Steamroller.
Well, yeah, I'm with Christian on this one. The Rams are playing in that everybody's still eligible NFC West, where there's just one game that separates the four teams, and this is a team that's certainly not lacking for motivation. They're very inconsistent in their play. That bothers me. Just about the time you think Rams are going to step up, I thought they'd be able to keep it close against the Eagles. They did not. They did not show up well against the Dolphins. But the Saints are awful. They are just not a good football team at all. I'm going to have a small lean towards the Rams and laying the points here, but that's not
NFC South. Here's my bold prediction: the Buccaneers are going to win the NFC South.
Are we going out there, buddy?
The Buccaneers remaining schedule: Panthers twice, at Raiders, Cowboys at Buccaneers, at Saints, at Chargers. They're going to beat the Panthers twice. They'll beat the Raiders. They'll beat the Cowboys. They'll beat the Saints. And the Falcons, I think, are going to lose this weekend to the Chargers at home. Christian?
Yeah, Chargers have been one of the better defenses and one of the better.
And you love Baker. I know you do.
You love
Baker the Bucs.
I love Baker. The only discredit I would have to that point is that the Bucs have been injury riddled. I know Chris Godwin has been out. Mike Evans has been out as well. I don't know.
But it hasn't mattered. They just keep winning.
Yes, but I understand. They're going to be playing games against the Panthers. Yeah, my only discredit would be the injuries.
Right. Hey, Scott, what do you think? Falcons or Buccaneers in the Little Creek Casino opinion wins that division?
Yeah, that one. Well, what's interesting looking at that one is everyone is just going to the money line on that one. That 1 point isn't enough to interest them. I mean, we have some point spread bets, but mostly money line bets, and it's definitely favoring the Falcons. So, yeah, that kind of happens with those little one. Right now, we have it at 1 point, so people just want to take the win or loss without the points.
Scott, can you still get a divisional future on the Buccaneers?
I think we are still doing our futures.
What do you think, Steamroller? Do you think the Buccaneers are a decent play at this point still? If it's like plus 250?
Yeah, they're a game back, and Atlanta's beaten them twice, so they're going to have to clear them. But the problem is, you talked about Atlanta's. You talked about the Bucs schedule. And besides the Chargers, they've got the Vikings. They got at Vikings, Raiders, Giants, and at Commanders and Panthers. So that's a much tougher road than.
I think there's 2 losses in there.
Yeah, I think. Oh, I think they're going to struggle against the Chargers. Chargers number 1 scoring defense in the NFL. I think they're going to be underdogs against the Vikings. They certainly can beat the Raiders and Giants, but then you've got the Commanders on there as well, where they finish with the Panthers. I think there could be 2, even 3 losses in that schedule.
So it looks like we actually still have the Buccaneers plus money on the futures, but they drop down during the weekend and then they make adjustments. So that might.
What's the plus on the Buccaneers right now?
170. Falcons are the favorite, minus 210.
Man, I think there's still some value there. I mean, I think the Buccaneers have the much easier schedule. Big game tomorrow, 49ers at Bills. Here's what's crazy. The 49ers and Rams could both miss the playoffs, and the Seahawks and Cardinals could be in. Steamroller.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. It's the craziest division that I've seen in a while. And, we've talked before on the show, Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, Debo, those guys, when they're out, they get all the publicity. But this team runs through Trent Williams at left tackle. He's out. Left guard Aaron Banks is out. Brock Purdy's still questionable in this one. We saw Brandon Allen last week. It wasn't pretty. I don't see where the points are going to come from. I don't see where they were able to bottle up McCaffrey last week. Now, I know he's just rounding into form. kind of saw the same thing with Pacheco today, where Hunt still got the majority of the carries, but Pacheco did get some face time and had a great run, by the way. This is the Bills team that's probably the best team in the AFC right now, and I think they roll them up.
And this game is getting the under's getting some love for us here. So
that's because there's weather.
Oh, right. That's right.
Snowy and cold.
Right.
In Buffalo. Man, I can't imagine if the 49ers and the Rams both missed the playoffs and either the Cardinals or the Seahawks win that division. If you had placed a futures bet on the Cardinals and the Seahawks both of like $200, you would either one winning, you way clear your $200 loss and make money, right, Christian?
I don't want to sound like a genius, but I did put a bet at the beginning of the year that the Cardinals won the NFC West.
No way.
Yes, I did.
Not.
Yeah, go back to our old episodes. I said that a few months ago.
1 minute.
That's great. All right, Steamroller, if you have one best bet for tomorrow, what would it be?
I like KU -1.5 over Baylor. This is a Jayhawks team that's beat 3 ranked opponents in a row as an underdog. Iowa State, BYU, and Colorado. Those are 3 teams the Bears lost to by a total of 35 points. They can grind it out like they did against BYU. They can shoot it out like they did against the Buffs and the Clones. KU teams finally playing the way people thought they would. KU laying a short number down there in Waco, Texas against Baylor Bears.
Scott Keyport, why should people come to Little Creek Casino when there are so many other choices?
Hey, we're the friendliest. We cancel bets for you. We help you find stats. We can pat you on the back when you lose, and we high five you when you win.
That is the kind of sports book I like to go to, and that's why that's the one I do go to. Christian, take us out.
Yep, one more Cardinals +3.5 versus Vikings. Thank you, everyone, listening. Hit the pick, our very first episode. We will see you guys next week on 5 o'clock Friday.